Welcome to Influential Visions. Here, we interview futuristic leaders who share their deep industry knowledge and business experience with you, ensuring you have your finger on the pulse and your eyes wide open. My name is Nathaniel Schooler, and I am your host today. That's rather weird. Sorry.
Big Brother is listening.
No one knows what I'm talking about. We just had this thing in our ears saying your meeting is being recorded. So, for anyone that doesn't know, this is Stephen Dickens, and he's a global sales leader for Linux One and HyperProtect at IBM. And today we're going to talk about some interesting stuff. But I'll let you just explain a bit about what you do first.
Yeah, thanks, Nate. So my role is I run a sales team within IBM, about 60 to 70 guys and gals around the world, folks in 7 geographies. IBM splits the world up into 7 different geographies, and we're taking to market a high-end Linux server and also some cloud services that are based off that same infrastructure. So that's my role.
Super. Yeah, we had a good podcast last time. It was fun. We talked about all sorts of things to do with selling and stuff like that. And yeah, it was fun. You know, we talked about the Glengarry Glen Ross film, which is it's just hilarious. Yeah. And today you told me
two Brits putting the worlds to rights.
Yeah. But today you told me you've got this sound protected room, right? And you could take the salespeople in and actually beat them if you wanted to. I mean, obviously, human resources.
Would hear their screams.
Nobody
would hear their screams.
Yeah, you just pull the shutters down, and then you can give them a good whack, right?
Yeah, I mean, just for the listeners, it's actually not that. It's a podcast room we've got in one of our buildings at IBM, but it could serve that purpose as a torture suite for forecast calls if I needed it to.
So today we're gonna first of all we're gonna talk about the business to business sales blueprint, which is a hands-on guide to generating more leads, closing more deals, and working less, which is what everyone wants, really. More results and less work. I mean, that's what we're all striving for, right? So where do you sort of start then with generating leads?
Well, I think the landscape's really changed. So I've been carrying a bag as a sales rep and leading sales teams for the last sort of 25 years now. And I started off at Rank Xerox doing cold calling, selling to 5 postcodes in Southwest London. And it was, really manual conference, cold calling type activity. So I look back over the last 25 years, and now probably my best source of inbound interest is via LinkedIn. My best way of generating activity is to get and build my own social channels to get in front of clients. If you'd have told me 25 years ago I'd be doing podcasts to show my own kind of personal eminence as a way to drive traction with clients, I would have thought you were insane. So I think the net answer, Nate, is that the world has changed. I think what I'm working with my sellers, and we've got a social coach on our worldwide sales team, so that kind of shows the commitment. I think you've got to be socially active. You've got to be building your own brand, because I look at who's viewed my profile on LinkedIn, and it's literally all the people I have met with over the last week checking me out before they come on the call with me. So I think if a seller doesn't think they're being shopped by their customers before they come on the call, they're kind of missing how the market is structured these days. The amount of people who I get into interactions with using social means is probably more so than I do any other direct channel I'm involved with. So that's kind of the landscape. I think what we're seeing is sales guys and girls have to think very differently about how they get in front of customers. So thinking about, and we've all had these messages come through on LinkedIn, how do you get somebody to care? How do you get somebody to click and respond and connect? So that's a skill. How do you craft a value prop that's designed for 3 minutes? Customers don't give you 15 minutes to get your points across these days. If you can't get it across in arguably the first 30 seconds, if not the first 3 minutes, you're kind of struggling. So I think it's the immediacy and the multi-channel ways of getting in front of people, which is, how I see us getting leads. We were just joking before the call. I'm going to set up a podcast series where I'm interviewing potential customers. Yeah. If you'd have told me I would be doing that, being the host of a podcast to prospect, to get leads to come on a call with me before I'd done anything else with them 25 years ago, I'd have thought you were insane. But that's how you break through. I think trying to email or cold call a customer these days, you kind of got no chance. I mean, I read a report recently where you need to contact people 8 times before they're going to come back to you. If I was to send you an email, it could sit in your inbox for 2 or 3 days before you even see it to make a decision on whether you were going to respond. And if you don't know me, the chances of you responding to my first email, negligible at best. Yeah. If I get a 1% hit rate there, then I'm way past the industry norms.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. Actually, 7 to 8 times, isn't it? The touches before they'll even talk to you, right?
Yeah. I mean, and you've got to add value. People don't want to be sold to.
No,
we're being sold to on every platform all the time. Whether you go on your Instagram or your Twitter, there's adverts. You're getting promoted content. People are just, I think, desensitized now. So unless you're adding value in every touch, you got no chance. And that's not, let me tell you about my product. That's not adding value. That's having something compelling to say that gets people to think, this guy's an expert. They know what they're doing in this market. I maybe take 10 minutes of my time with that person.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. You got to just give as much as you can, can't you? Haven't you these days? It's I remember doing cold calling. I got trained to do cold calling. Like I was thinking I was like 23 or something, 24. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. Yeah, but eventually you get really good at it, don't you? And it became quite fun in the end. But now, if you say to me, you need to do some cold calling, I'm like, no.
So many people don't even put their phone numbers on internal systems. I look on our internal registry of who's who, and a lot of people just don't put their phone number. They don't want to be contacted on the phone as a first way of contacting them. No. So, they want you to come in via a social channel, or they want you to come in via an email or an instant messenger. They don't want to be spoken to on the phone because they're on conference calls 10 hours a day. They haven't got time to speak to people, especially new people on the phone.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's horrific, isn't it? Like your phone rings and you're like, what, who's calling me? It's like, it's really intrusive, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. If it's an unknown number, your chance of getting through especially in the US, the amount of robot calling that we get is just ridiculous. So I think people are just desensitized. I have better luck setting up meetings via Twitter than I do cold calling customers.
Yeah, Twitter's
which is just a crazy thing to say out loud, really, but is the truth.
Yeah, no, I can believe that. I think it's because you're genuinely the same person on Twitter. Yeah, because like a lot of people, they'll have this persona, won't they? Like this online persona versus a persona which is what they are in real life, right? And that I think is the biggest sort of hurdle for some people, because they just find it really hard, like to be themselves, because perhaps they're lacking confidence or something. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think it's tough. I mean, I spend a lot of time with people coaching them on how to use, particularly Twitter, because that's my platform of choice.
Yeah,
I think. People are, I work for this company, therefore I've only got to tweet about that company's information and I've got to follow the corporate line. And maybe I'm lucky with IBM that they really do take a hands-off approach. I know it's harder in regulated industries, if you work for a bank or a law firm, I know it's harder. But I think you genuinely have to be yourself comment on what your company's doing within the boundaries of what you're allowed, so that people know, as you say, that they're talking to you and not another brand channel.
Yeah.
If anybody reaches out to me on Twitter at Stephen Dickens 3 and wants to have a conversation about what IBM's doing, I'll engage and I'll give my personal perspective. We do some things really well, other things are more of a challenge for us, and you'll get my view. You won't get the company view. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to diss the company I work for.
No.
But I'm also not going to say we're amazing at everything when we've got some challenges. And I think that people appreciate that level of honesty. And I've certainly had feedback that that's why they've engaged with me, because they're getting that honest feedback about what we're good at and what we're bad at.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree completely. It's quite funny, Twitter. Like, I get it pulled into these conversations with loads of devs and stuff, or like techies and stuff like that. And they just like give me grief. Yeah. Like, cause I'll turn around and I'll just say, look guys, like, let's leave the techno speak like somewhere else, kind of thing. And then someone said to me the other day, oh yeah, what do you mean? Like, you need to have tech speak. Yeah. And I'm just like, well, yeah, but we don't need that here, do we? And it's just,
it's interesting.
Funny.
I mean, it's interesting. Reddit is becoming an increasing platform. I'm sort of getting onto Reddit more and more, and that's where the techies seem to live. And I think for anybody who's trying to get, sell DevOps tools, sell things to developers, sell anything to kind of more technical folks, or they play a bigger role in your sales cycles than maybe executives do.
Yeah.
And I think you've got to be active on those platforms. You've got to go, I think what we're seeing now is that there's lots of different social media platforms for lots of different types of conversations. So what you discuss on Instagram is very different to what you discuss on Twitter, which is different to what you discuss on Reddit.
Yeah.
So I think if you're a pre-sales leader or a technical person, or you're trying to get involved with communities that kind of make decisions technically, you got to get on some of these Reddit platforms and get into some of the threads and build your knowledge. And it's a great way for you to learn what your customers are talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually joined up with Reddit the other day because I was just missing something. There's something missing, and I wanted to delve really deeper into the topic. Yeah. So I was like, well, where are the conversations happening? And somehow I found Reddit. I mean, one of my close partner agencies, Jason, I think you might know him. He's been hassling me for ages to be on Reddit, and telling me that it's really good. So yeah, I think it's definitely a good spot.
Well, the other thing as a salesperson, you've got to know your market. You've got to know what your customers are talking about, what's important to them. So if I've got spare moments in my day and I'm trying to get prepped for a call, or trying to understand the topic, I mean, I can get IBM's perspective of it, of what our internal sites, but I also often start, just Google it, go down the Reddit rabbit hole and find out what's there, and be able to find out and say, okay, what is the community saying about this topic? What are they talking about? What's new and current to them? So that I can be better informed and hit those little nuanced phrases and that little, and make myself sound like I know what I'm talking about, because I've been actively listening in the community. The way you phrase things, and the language you use says to other people whether you know what you're talking about. Yeah. If you use the language of the community that you're trying to address, it's particularly with some of these open source and technical topics, you can be talking about the topic and just use the wrong phrases, and everybody's he's an outsider. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah, totally. But that's like the same, isn't it, with like finance directors, and like if you use the wrong kind of persona with a finance director, like you write a blog in the wrong tone, they just look at it and they're like, I'm not reading that. Like they just won't even look at it, will they? They just So how does a salesperson learn that tone of their customer? You got to read, right? You got to read. You got to read. Yeah, listen to videos, podcasts. Like especially with CIOs. Like I was listening to some CIOs talking earlier on. It's so interesting to listen to their point of view, because they're not really.
all right, they might be coders in the past, but they're not coding anymore, are they? Or they might be a little bit, but they're really managing people, aren't they? And getting stuff done. So it's like, well, making strategic decisions about cloud and are they going from on-prem to cloud? Even the way that you say the words on-prem, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, is it on-prem? Is it on-premises? Is it hybrid? Is it multi-cloud? I mean, you can trip yourself up on the language before you even get going. On-prem is a particular hatred word for me.
I hate it as well, but it's a dev speak word. If you say on-prem, you're a dev, right? Like you're probably an American developer. I don't think, do UK use on-prem? Probably not as much. I don't know.
I mean, it just winds me on premises. Come on, let's get the grammar right here, people. But maybe I'm just getting old and cranky. Maybe that's what it is.
I get grief for my grammar. One of my business associates, he's very particular about his grammar. He does a bit of proofreading for me on my blogs and stuff. And he's just like, you needed to go to school. Like, you just like,
I tell you, if you're going to read one book, and I read this book every year. It's a book called Eats, Shoots and Leaves by Lynn Truss. It is the best book on grammar. It is hilarious.
Really?
It's really funny. The examples are just really funny and witty. I'll send you the link, Nate.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
It's on my books I read every year list. Because it's a refresher course every year.
I think I need one of them. I think
you need it for the first time by the sound of it, so I'll definitely give it you.
Yeah, I don't need a refresher. I need some serious practice around that. That's why I like doing podcasts, because I can just sort of be myself, and I don't need to worry too much about like where my apostrophes are, and
you don't need a grammar check.
My commas and stuff. So all right, so. Basically with generating leads, right, we've kind of talked around it. So what is it, just like a daily routine of just being yourself and getting involved with conversations, or what is it?
I think it's, and we have this, we've got a new business part of my role, and it's talking to new customers, and I think it's being programmatic about it. So the guys on the team who do this best are programmatic and thoughtful about it. They've got the right list of who they want to target.
Yeah.
And then they run a plan. As we talked about, it can take you up to 8 touches, as we call them here, to get somebody to respond. So if you've got 100 companies you want to target, maybe there's 5 individuals at each company, and then it's going to take you 8 touches to get any one of those 500 people to respond.
Right.
That's a lot of touches and a lot of programmatic thinking about you're going to have to do. So when I sold to Sally at company 34, when was the last time I touched her? Right. Was it via LinkedIn? Did I ping her a DM? Did I cold call her? Did Sally respond? Okay, I've got a message that is touch number 3.
Yeah.
Because I touched her 3 times already. What do I send her for touch number 4? Because based on doing this a lot, touch number 4 is where I need to send this message. That's a very programmatic way. This isn't just, I'm going to hit the Rolodex today and make some cold calls.
No.
Because your hit rate on any one call or touch is so low, you've got to think about, 5 to 8 touches onto each individual. Well, if you've got 100 companies, 5 people at each company you've identified, times 8 touches. That's a big spreadsheet.
Yeah.
You've got to be thoughtful about as a salesperson of how am I going to do this task over the next 12 months to hit my quota.
Right. And so basically it's working backwards, right, from like what figures you need to generate for the pipeline, right?
Well, it's interesting. There's different. So I work out our funnel metrics on this way. So in our traditional business, I need 3x coverage early on in the funnel, in the sales side. Mm-hmm. So if I'm selling to a traditional install-based customer, I need 3 times the amount of deals in my pipe to hit my number.
Got you.
If I'm working on the new, so I've also got a new client discussion, part of my team, and they need 10 times coverage. So for us to do one deal, I need 10 deals in my pipe.
Wow.
At very, relatively early stage onwards, but 10 deals.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to get, if I'm asking my reps to do sort of 3 new deals, they've got to have 30 customers in their pipe throughout the year. Well, how many people do you have to touch to get 30 customers to agree to meet you and have a discussion with you and get face to face? It's probably 10x that again, right? So you got to touch 300 people to get 30 of them to agree to let you to come and see them. To then have 3 deals pop out of the end. So if you're going to get 300 people into your machine as a sales rep, how do you find those 300 people? How do you programmatically find a way to get them to respond? How do you get them to, it's 8 touches times 300 people. You've got to have a spreadsheet with, 300 rows of customers and 8 touches. That's 2,400 cells you've got to run as a sales rep to get 3 deals to pop out of the bottom. If you're not that programmatic about how you think about it, you just don't hit your numbers.
Right. I get it. Yeah.
And, every seller should be thinking it backwards. One of the things I got told 20 years ago was, your customer has stolen your commission. Your job is to plan the bank heist to steal it back. I think that when you say that to a sales rep, they're like, huh. And then I say, it's not just your job to do the heist on your own. Think about Ocean's 11. You got to plan the team. You're the leader of the team.
Yeah.
You're the Brad Pitt, or, you're whoever the leader of that gang of 11 is in Ocean's 11. Your job is to be the leader of the team. Who's your breaking and entering expert? Who's the person who gets the plans? Who's the person who drives the getaway car? Think about your deals in that context, and you see people's brains thinking of, what's my pre-sales rep going to do? What's my exec going to do? What are the team going to do to get these deals across the line? So it's just a subtly different way of thinking about it.
Right. So basically, I know you're all about filling that pipeline to close more deals, right? Because the more you fill it, the less pressure there is right down the line. Yeah. I mean, that's what you said last time. So,
well, yeah, it's an input and output thought. So many sales leaders spend time focusing on outputs, cadence calls, forecast calls, what deal's going to close this week. And that is weighing the pig. That is really, for me, absolutely where I hate spending my time. And it's not just because I know my sales reps hate it. It's also the wrong place to spend your time. If you've got more deals in the pipe, the call at the end of the month about which deals are going to close goes better. Yeah. If all you focus on is the output side, not the input side, you're always scrambling with not enough deals in your pipe. You never get ahead of the curve.
Got you. Okay. So as far as like working less, how do you work less?
Well, it's interesting because I often say this is a phrase to sort of shake up a conversation. I want lazy salespeople, and people go, "What do you mean?" That's obviously the counter opposite. And go back to the Ocean's 11 analogy. Do they want to take the most amount of time, effort, and resources to rob the bank? No. They want to take the least amount of time, effort, and resources to rob the bank. So why would a sales rep want to work hard and work long hours? It's kind of counterintuitive. I want them to pick the most efficient plan to get to quota as quickly as possible. If all my reps could get to 200% of their quota within a quarter, they could play golf for 9 months of the year for all I care.
Yeah.
So I don't want my reps working 70 hours a week. Now, a lot of them do, because it's just a tough job. But I want them to be thinking about what's the most efficient way from point A to point B. How can we get a sales cycle to go as quickly and burn as little amount of resources as possible? And it's interesting. A lot of sales reps like having deals in their pipe. And you've got to counter that, because if I've got 3 deals in my pipe, I've got something to talk about on my forecast call.
Got you.
That you've got to get people to get deals through the sales cycle as quickly as possible and come to a conclusion, a yes or a no.
Yeah.
We're still doing it, we've got a meeting next week, is something you've got to fight passionately.
Yeah, that's painful, that is.
It's a yes or no answer.
Yeah.
A yes or no answer is what, I got a great rep down in Latin America. He's my top performing rep last year. And the thing I like most about him is the deals that he lost quickly.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, it's I'm not going to say the words that they use in that film. we know the words. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it's something and walk. It's like, and walk. Yeah.
Yeah. Glen Ross is
F or walk. Yeah.
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 Hit the bricks. But I mean, and I'm talking about him here, the deals that he lost didn't linger in his pipe. He got them to a decision and he lost them.
Right.
And obviously we'd all like him to win more and we'd like that percentage to be higher. Yeah. But he was my top performing rep because he wasn't wasting his time on deals that were going to linger in his pipe.
Yeah.
He had enough deals in his pipe that he was able to get them to go through quickly. And then the deals that he ultimately won, he had time to spend on them because he wasn't working on deals that were lingering in his pipe.
Right.
It's just a way of focusing on it that the best reps do intrinsically, and lots of other reps. You can hear it. Oh, yeah, I'm meeting with this client again next week. We're going to have another conversation about where we are. Ooh. It's just the words they use. It's like, well, this isn't moving, is it?
Ooh.
Yeah.
We've all been there, though. We've been there. And it's about letting the client lead you in the wrong direction, isn't it? It's just not taking control, right? It's just,
Well, one of the key questions I ask is, have we got a priced proposal in front of the client?
Yeah.
And if I'm on these conference calls where we're talking about forecasting and cadence, the amount of times it's like, don't really want to, and you press them and it's like, I want a proposal in front of the customer by this date. Well, and it's like, guys, that's the point when the deal becomes real. Until the customer's got, we're going to sell you this for this amount of money. Do you want to buy it? Yes or no? Until you're at that stage, it's all just talk.
Yeah. So right. I mean, I know we're going to move on to our next topic in a minute, right? But that just goes back to qualification, doesn't it? And asking the right question, like, what do you want to buy this for? Yeah. I mean, in blunt terms, you're not going to say, why do you want to buy this? But you're going to uncover their motivations, aren't you?
Asking tough questions. So many sales reps are shy of, have you got money? And would you buy this with that money?
Yeah.
If you don't know those answers to, does your customer want to buy your stuff? And are they prepared to pay what you're asking for it? Until you put a price proposal in front of a customer, it's all talk and nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not being rude. That's not being blunt.
No.
Customers don't want you to waste their time either.
No, they don't. Definitely not. Thanks for listening. Please make sure you share this episode with your friends and business connections too. And don't forget to drop us a review wherever you listen. Thank you.